Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith. And listen, I'm just a girl still stuck in her apartment, still looking for someone to talk to. So I found some people. My guest today is Ami Diane. He's the creator of the game called The Interview Game. We're talking about how the game, which has now gone virtual, is helping to bring people together during the holiday season, as so many are only able to gather over platforms like Zoom. There's also a new edition of the game out just in time for Hanukkah, as well as other holidays and different occasions. But before Ami and I get into all of that, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Let's Talk About It YouTube channel. I don't want you missing new episodes coming out. And make sure you hit that little notification bell right there so you'll never miss a video. Go ahead, Ami and I will wait. Like and subscribe. Did you do it? Okay, great. Ami, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about it.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to talk to you about it.
Awesome. So the interview game, how did you come up with this idea, and where has, why now? Why now during the pandemic?
Well, it started before the pandemic. And I came up with the idea. A lot of things led to it. I'm a theater artist. I studied theater all my life, so storytelling has been part of my thing. But I also raised kids in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
With all their healthy and at the time, and still alive and active grandparents way in across the ocean. And so the interconnectivity between the generations has always been front and center for us. We knew that it was our job as parents to make sure that they are not deprived of each other, our kids from our parents, and how important it is for a healthy transition of culture for them to be in immediate and not daily, but at least weekly contact with our parents. And so the background comes from a very personal place.
So the concept sounds simple enough. As you said, it's an interview. It's a little bit more than what I'm used to performing, if you will. But how does the game work, and how does it connect those either different generations or just people coming from different places?
Well, initially we had it as a booklet, which I have a sample of over here, which basically lay flat on a table between two players as a chess set, and it faced the two sides simultaneously. So one would be on one side, one would be on the other, one would have a question, one would have a place to respond, etc. Then the pandemic hit. And we were about, by the way, we had like thousands of these ordered in March that we managed to get our money back really just in the nick of time, because this is, I'll show you this. This is the sample of how to play this game. This is how, like a trap for COVID.
Right.
Like we're recommending sharing food and etc. for an hour and a half. I said, we got to look for something else. And the idea of doing it as an app was there in the beginning because of, the distances between some grandparents and some folks. But that is more costly and it takes more time. So we thought that would be the next wave. Excuse the phrase.
Right.
And because of COVID, we decided, okay, let's try to get this app going. And they said it will take a few months and da-da-da. And then my wife said, who's the way better half of this marriage, she said, everybody's on Zoom anyway. Mm-hmm. Get them the file and show them how to share the screen. Mm-hmm. And then record, because recording is a very important part of this. The idea of downloading grandpa and grandma's stories, the great aunt, the great uncle, making sure that we have them for generations to come. That was there from the beginning. And we would, in the booklet form, when it was a face-to-face meeting, we would have to kind of describe. We had all kind of description where the phone, where the camera or the phone should stand, and the microphone, and how they should have the light in front of it. It's pretty complicated. And then they would have had to edit it. Zoom or video chat platforms do that for you.
Right.
And so in that regard, it's a much more efficient way of connecting from anywhere if you have online capabilities, and B, recording at a click of a button for no extra cost.
And now you have all of these different editions of the game. Some are specific for the holiday season. One we're talking about today is specifically for Hanukkah. How did you translate these different types of questions or interview style games for the different holidays and different occasions?
Thank you. That's a great question. It wasn't that easy because the one-on-one was at the heart of what we thought, what we are doing. We do believe that one-on-one communication can really go deeper. And certainly if you are going to record a loved one, I do recommend one of our one-on-one editions because then there's more time, there's less social interaction, it's more focused. Um, from that perspective, but then the holidays came along, and again with COVID, in mind, recognizing that folks would be very wise to sometimes stay away to keep everybody safe. We said, okay, we have to create a group game that would be initially for families, then it can be for workplace, cohorts, etc. But for the families, what we decided to do was to work by categories. And so if there's always a logic to the there's like it's a curated conversation, so to speak, that we're just giving the prompts. So we'll start with going to the background. What is your first memory of me, or a favorite highlights from our relationship, etc. And then we'll go into all kinds of, we'll expand, if you were a color, what color would you be and why? What's your favorite food and what's the best food that you know how to make, etc. Things that just expand the horizons. And then we'll usually come back to us and to the most important things. What would you like your great, 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 great grandchildren's to keep of your traditions and of your legacy? How would you want to be remembered and so on? In a family setup, we just did this by category. So starting with the holidays, we'd start with, like for the Hanukkah starts with Hanukkah. So questions around Hanukkah, early memories of Hanukkah, favorite songs, and so on. Have you ever created a menorah from scratch or a dreidel and so on? And we'll go into things like art, what's the last book that you've read that you think I should and why? What 3 artists do you appreciate? What's more important, imagination or knowledge? So you'll do, again, those are the expanding areas before coming back to the family motifs. It's also, so the family or the group games tend to be much more socially entertaining, and there's a lot of laughs there. We encourage that. And the one-on-ones tend to go a little deeper. They're also a ton of fun, but they also allow a little more intimacy between two people.
We're more than several months into the pandemic at this point. And initially, when quarantine and shutdown happened, the Zoom was such a novelty to be able to connect with our friends that we were missing, with our families. But as time has gone on, we've done a lot of them. It's getting a little like, oh, you again, or what do I talk about this time with the family? So how does a game kind of enhance the gathering, or at least, keep it going? Because people, I don't know if everyone even wants to do it anymore. The Zoom novelty has worn off, if you will.
Absolutely, yeah. We consider this the cure to the common family Zoom and the COVID gloom, because it really does take away all of that. It's a scaffolding. Usually there's an awkwardness because what can I ask you again? How are you today? Did you take your medicine? Did you see your friend across the street? But at some point those run out. And asking you about an early pet that you had, or what's the favorite animal that you had, all of a sudden, just takes away all of that awkwardness. And it usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes for folks to realize how relaxed they are, and how the whole dread of, oh, what will we talk about? And some of the kids are already, have heard how sweet they were, and, enough, and they just get on with it. So this takes care of that, and it does allow usually the mid generation, the parent or the aunt, to connect because they usually are the more they have the technical skills, putting the Zoom together, sharing the screen, recording, and so on, without that being a big mice. And they have the wherewithal to realize how important this is right now, because we are so separated, and particularly our elders are. But that's actually, it's not even true. The youngsters are suffering from this just as much. People who are not in a family setup, or I have a lot of friends that do our valued friends edition like on a weekly basis, and particularly if they're living far away from their friends. We have folks here in Colorado, like a community of Australians. The relationship between Boulder and Australia is
Right.
boomed because of this, because it feels just like you're having a meaningful visit back home. After a while, valued friends editions usually take longer because they are accompanied by a little wine or a little beer and some jokes, and they can and of course what we provide is the beginning. We just provide. There are no. This isn't a game that somebody's going to win. This isn't a game that anybody can lose.
So no contention that way.
Excuse me?
No contention that way with like
Not at all.
competitiveness, right?
Not at all.
Well, I want to give it a shot, and I'll for our audience. So Ami and I both have some questions. We'll play a quick round for you. How about this? We have 8 questions or so. I'll choose an even question, even numbered question. You choose an odd question, and we'll throw it out at each other and see how this goes.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
go.
Go ahead. The creator first.
I start. Okay. Have you ever made a New Year's resolution? This is by the way, this comes from the holidays edition.
Mm-hmm.
Have you made a New Year's resolution that you've actually kept? And please say more.
I don't think so. I can't remember a meaningful one that I have made, and I can't remember a meaningful one that I've made, but I'm sure every year I check the boxes of, losing those couple of pounds or exercising more, but I don't know if any of them have had, an impactful result. Now with the game, do you get to turn the question around?
This is a great question. You can do whatever. Follow-up questions are great. Like I could be asking you, okay, what do you think? How long has the longest? You wanted to lose those pounds. How long could you sustain it? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or what? Follow-up questions are great, and you can always turn it around. You can always, particularly in the family game, going, hey, I want to hear Ami respond to that question. It's all good.
So I'm going to turn it back on you. Have you made a New Year's resolution ever that you've kept?
I have actually. We come from Israel, and at the time when we moved here, we were smokers. And in 2000, the New Year's of 2000, the Bug 2K, the resolution was quitting, and I actually did. But that's the only one.
That's a one. That's a really important one.
Easier, I have to say, it's easier to do if you're living in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Working in Boulder, Colorado will get you the looks of, like you're, I don't want to even look what kind of a pervert you might be. It's like, what are you doing? So yeah. But
good advice too. Good advice. So good advice for kicking the habit. Okay. I have one for you. Which job would you not want to hire yourself for, and why?
Accountant.
An accountant. Why?
Well, I like teamwork, so I like situations where 1 and 1 is more than 2, but that's also my math. Yeah. My math skills are undetectable, and I would not trust myself with the details of the exact number below, on a regular base. I have, if I need to kind of be business oriented, I'll put that head on and try to kind of look at the contract with that kind of a focus, but it's not my go-to.
You're an idea guy.
Yeah, and theater, storytelling, any human communication skills, no problem. Numbers, not my forte.
Much. Understandable. What do you hope that this is not an interview question game, but what do you hope that people who play this, participate in this, get from the game? As you said, it's not one about winning or losing.
The thrill of connectivity. that feeling of being seen and being connected.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's the most important thing in life, period. And right now, absolutely urgent, absolutely necessary. So just, you could call it love, but I don't mean that in a romantic way. I just mean connecting to your friends, connecting to your community, connecting to your family, and holding each other up. We can't save ourselves here, but we
Mhm.
can save each other. And if we do that, I'll be, if this can help, if the interview game can in any way help reduce isolation, reduce the loneliness that's going on, depression that's going on, I'd be thrilled.
I mean, that's the biggest win for people right now. It's all we want. It's really all we want is to be back face to face with friends and family.
And but I think yes, and even when we are back, it's, if the holidays used to be now we're saying, oh, we'd love to be with each other, but at the time there was a lot of stress before. Holidays are stressful. Back for the Holidays is a great movie. It describes this. There's a lot of stress during the holidays, and family can be very stressful. So that the notion of being able to be empathetic with each other, and to be compassionate with each other, and to be curious about each other and there for each other, we sometimes need a helping hand in that. And even when we get back, we'll be the first to kind of do the online, the hard
In
copy.
person.
And we would want people to kind of connect, have the food, have the conversation, face to face, be able to touch each other as they're doing, um, but also, but that doesn't, again, the game began before the pandemic, and our need, or it can be very impactful way after.
Absolutely. Well, Ami, thank you so much for telling us all about this new game. This is something, as we are knee deep in the holiday season, we should be getting out and playing, however virtually that may be. But connecting, as we said, is a big win, and it's something that a lot of people need right now.
Thank you, Meredith, so much for having me. And yes, by all means, even if you don't play the interview game, call your grandmother, call your aunt, call your ex-teacher. Tell them what they mean to you. Tell them how important they are in your lives. And please stay healthy, and happy Hanukkah and happy holidays.
Same to you. Happy Hanukkah. And thanks so much for being with us today. This has been Let's Talk About It. We'll talk to you next time.